Darien, nothing gets more government than voting, and that's a vulnerability. It's not exactly a critical infrastructure yet, right?
Right.
But it's still incredibly important to keep it secure. You're with Insight Engines, which is known for being able to take people from different careers or all kinds of people and giving them the ability to really ask technical questions in a very everyday way, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
how are you applying this to voting with Insight Investigator?
Well, it's really a technology that helps empower analysts who may not be familiar with cybersecurity and just get them to ask simple questions of their data to be able to make actionable insights and use that to better secure their environment. A lot of the different teams that are involved with election security are split between state, local, and federal agencies. And what we found is that they're still treating most of the election systems that we interact with today, even with this recent cycle of elections, they're effectively appliances, equipment that is maybe replaced and serviced every 10 years.
And for voting, that's how many election cycles? I mean, every 2 years.
Right, exactly. So what we have today in this demo is really a focused effort around what sort of questions would you ask if you were monitoring not only the equipment that's responsible for collecting the direct vote tallies, but also what about all of the equipment that's doing the tabulations and the calculations?
So it might be, my precinct has 200 people and I'm seeing, it's going up to 300 or 400 people.
Right.
That's definitely a question that I want to ask, right?
Right, exactly. There's a cybersecurity talent shortage today that's nationwide. It's a problem that appears across a number of different verticals. And we don't see this going away anytime soon. We see that, finding qualified, talented cybersecurity experts focused on the banking sector being a challenge to staff that up, let alone the election security sector. And so what we've focused on is what are the tools that can help empower teams to ask simple questions of their data fast.
I don't know how many officials in my hometown voting precinct are actually cybersecurity experts. So I imagine something like this can actually help them navigate that new world for them.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, I'm happy to go through and show you what those examples look like.
Absolutely, please.
Yeah. Show me vulnerable win vote systems this week versus last week. And the point of this is that you're doing a trend comparison to determine, are things getting better? Are the vulnerabilities decreasing or increasing on a week-by-week basis, which would give you an indication of, do we need to pull this equipment out and replace it with another manufacturer, which might have a better security posture?
And on election day, you'd probably ask about who's getting into that network or
right, exactly. So the bottom line is you can say something like, show me logins to AccuVote systems by source IP and dest IP this week.
And it's taking that natural language using augmented artificial intelligence and asking a more technical question on the back end?
Exactly. And we do that in a way that's very easy for analysts to quickly dive deep without having to become a data scientist, to be able to crunch all the metrics together and be able to quickly act on this. If they see that there's uncanny or unexpected metrics from their data, they know that there's a sign of tampering and they might want to take that system offline or potentially consult a paper backup.
Which is something completely interesting. Cyber people, everything's in the future, everything's digital, but a lot of cyber people are advocating for paper backups.
Yeah, and that's mainly because, there is no such thing as 100% security. We see this technology being a great way to identify when there are signs of tampering, but we need some other mechanism to recover from that. And that's really where paper backups come into play.
What kind of threats are people looking at right now in the voting realm?
What we've seen so far covered with the media is just focused on the equipment that you interact with at the voting station. But there's a lot more to it than that. There's an entire supply chain of equipment that's responsible for capturing tallies and providing the correct results. And what are the questions that need to be asked across the entire supply chain? That's the real focus of what we see is the next gap to cover.
Another vulnerability is voter registration rolls. Is this something that can be applied to any anomalies in voter registration rolls?
Yes, absolutely. We've seen natural language technology being used to help analysts identify when there's maybe duplicate records, or maybe records that should have been expired because the individual has moved to a different precinct, perhaps. And it's really a challenge to help analysts be able to identify what that accurate count looks like.
Darien, hope you have a good voting season, and thank you for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.